Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this introduction to Confluence webinar. My name is Tony Hartsfield, and I am a business consultant with Expium, a Valiantis company. I'll talk a little bit more about our company later in the session, but Valiantis is a um, business is a platinum solution partner for Atlassian in both North America, Europe, and Asia. So we're a global reach group, and again, I'll talk a little bit more about what we can do potentially for you as a client. We're going to focus though on Confluence for the next hour or so, and so we'll be looking at the editing capabilities and reporting capabilities as we walk through this. So we'll need to describe what Confluence is to begin with, so that we're all on the same page. We'll be looking at some of the editing tools and how those tools then can be leveraged to really make interesting and usable, consumable reports for your organization and how they use those things. It can also be a content portal for your teams where they keep their policies, instructions, links to documents, etc. And so after we see a couple different ways that Confluence could be leveraged, we'll spend a brief amount of time also talking about governance because we're going to see it's a highly extensible tool, and because of that, we would want to talk about then, well, how can we make this the most useful tool in our organization by having some governance standards from there. And then we'll finish our time with a Q&A opportunity. There is a Q&A module in your webinar setting here. And so feel free to, as I'm reviewing things, feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A, and then we'll review them at the end of the time. I also have a colleague of mine joining me today. She's also a certified professional with Atlassian and a consultant here at Expium. Kylie Braun is going to be managing some of the back end elements of this webinar, so she'll be minding the Q&A and other elements of this process. Um, so first off, what is Confluence, and how can it be used potentially in your organization? Confluence is a wiki style editing tool that can be used as a documentation tool and information sharing, and because of those two elements, it becomes potentially a very powerful reporting tool for your organization. For those of you that are using Atlassian products, if you're also using Jira Service Management for your help portal, Confluence is where your knowledge base articles are stored, allowing then your customers, as they go to the help portal and submit a request, they are able to view knowledge base articles that are housed in Confluence that can be managed from there. If I need to clarify that later, I can as well in the Q&A time. So because it's so flexible and it's customizable, we think that this is one of the better tools for organizing information and reporting information on how your organization uses it. And a couple of illustrations here just to visualize these things. Prior to using a tool like Confluence, the question becomes, where do I get the information that I need to finish my work? Where is that policy? Well, did you go to the intranet site? Where is the form that I need? Well, did you contact such and such in this department? And you know, what's the latest procedures for things? Well, we sent you an email 4 months ago. Go find it. And this idea of all the information is in these disparate locations. What Confluence can do is your people come to a single location and they find the information they need. Now, the information may or may not be actually attached in your Confluence locations, but that's where the resources are linked to, so that they can go to a single place and then find what they need to complete what they need in their job. And so having said this, this doesn't happen magically. So that's why we need to talk about governance a little bit later too. Who's going to use this then? And what is the actual structure? When I come back into going back into my demo, if you are using Jira software or Jira Work Management, then a similar idea. In Jira software, you have what are called projects, and the pieces of work are called issues inside of the projects. If you are talking about Confluence, then Confluence uses something called spaces. Think of it like a folder structure. And inside of the spaces then are going to be pages where your content actually takes place. Um, then who can have those? Well, this is part of that discussion that we might have if we were to engage with you as to how you might want to organize your Confluence one. But simply, we recommend a governance team actually have a space to tell your organization how you're going to use it. Would you want to have your departments? So it doesn't have to be just IT. It could be the entire accounting department or recruiting or library that might have that. It could very well be about a Jira project that you're using, or it could be the PMO has their page with all the projects underneath them in that one space. Individual teams that are working could be a combination of the team and the projects they're doing, and maybe a sub team underneath that. I'll show you a couple of examples a little bit later, but you're just kind of seeing an idea. It's very flexible. And so as we begin to apply these things, we'll see what the structure can look like. So as I said, everything basically is in spaces. If you're used to Jira, you have projects. So now that we've kind of given you a little bit of a conceptual idea about this, let's talk about how the tools work and what you can basically do with this. And so I'm going to move to another page on here and look at editing capabilities. Now, a lot of these tools are not complex, but they are pretty flexible. And so in this example, you've got, you can have multiple editors depending upon how you have it structured. The title, there's in cloud, this is a cloud instance, by the way, and it's at the premium licensing level. And so it has a few additional tools like um, um, available things like calendars and analytics on the page itself. But you can see this uses the combination of headings and basic text, that can be formatted to different colors. I'm going to open this in edit mode in just a moment so that you can actually see some of the formatting capabilities that are on this. But it does some of the basics as far as things like bulleted lists, and they can be multi-level. Numbered lists can also be multi-level. Notice as I'm using headings, they have links. And so you can actually copy a link and share that link with someone so they can navigate not only to the page, but to the specific location of the page in there. These can also be used in some of the macros like a table of contents and other options from there. Let me go into edit mode real quick and show you a few other things that are on this. So let me as this page is moving into edit mode. Because as I move into under heading 3, this begins to open up ways to change how your content can be placed on the page itself using something called layouts. What layouts can do is allow you to organize the pages. Either, the default, of course, is just a single column layout, but you can have 2 columns, you can have 3 columns, you can have a left or a right sidebar or both, which can allow you to structure your pages in a way that directs your viewers in the right places, in the right locations for seeing the information. And so this is a right sidebar layout. Also inside of this, you're also seeing then the formatted text. These are called action items that you can utilize from there. In an action item, you can @ someone in your organization and they will be notified that they have been tasked with something. You can apply a date from this. Here you're seeing a date that's still in the future. Here's a date that's in the past. And because the action item hasn't been closed, you'll see that it's turned red. So One way to organize the view of your content is using layouts. Another is using tables, and you can create and maintain tables in Confluence Pages. A feature of Cloud is that it can also have beneath the table a chart, and with the chart options, and there's several options over on the right-hand side that you can do with that. And so you're just kind of seeing some options here that are available to you. Just recently, Cloud has also introduced, this is taking the information from the table. The charting tool macro is now, you can import information from other resources, and also, so another way to visualize data or information on your page. So those are some of the visuals. What are some of the other capabilities that you can do? The next feature that I want to talk about is called simultaneous editing. Kylie is going to move into edit mode under this page as well with me. And just to show you what is capable for your pages, because the pages live in a shared location and your people have access to the pages together, then you can online edit simultaneously. So you already see that Kylie has joined up here, and I can see her cursor. She would see my cursor as I go in and begin to make edits to this particular page or make something bold, whatever it is. And so we can see all that. And when we're all done, then we can both publish the page and updates are made. How we use this at XPM: when I am in a client meeting, and there's usually at least two of us on a team working with the client, we will both open the page for meeting notes. And while one is leading the topic, the other one is taking notes, and then we can trade back and forth. And so it's a useful tool as far as that goes, having simultaneous editing. And then again, once you publish, this creates the ability to have multiple versions of the page that you can compare versions of it. You can revert back to earlier editions. In Cloud, you can even schedule when it's going to be made public. It's called scheduled publish. So the idea could be that you're writing the new policy, but it doesn't take place until Monday. Well, you could schedule it to be released on Sunday evening, so that it reflects the latest policies. So anyway, just some ideas that are on here as far as the editing options. And then the next thing I want to talk about are commenting. And then also commenting, we can also talk about labeling, should you want to do that too. So if I go back into, actually I'm going to stay in edit mode for just a little bit. Commenting can be done in both edit mode and publish mode for Cloud. In Data Center, if you're using Data Center, you can comment in published mode only. But I just read a recent article that said that you can view comments now in the edit mode in Data Center, which is very useful. And that feature has been for some time in Cloud. But it's just a matter of selecting what you want to comment on. You hover over your selection and you comment, and that allows you to make comments on that particular location. You can @ someone to direct their attention. You can even use several of the formatting macros that are available, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But if I hit the /, you can see I have access to several of the macros, even in a comment, which is interesting. But I will just go ahead and just type a brief comment here. You can also comment when you're in published mode at the bottom of the page, which actually then has the comment thread. When I come back into published mode for this, I'll show you some of those other things that are available to you. You can also label pages. Labeling is in some instances a little we talk about the wild world, wild west of labeling sometimes, but labeling can be very functional, especially in the Confluence idea. In fact, it's really useful for those of you that are thinking about using Confluence as your knowledge base, again, for your help portal. putting the proper labels as to what type of article it is. This is a hardware issue. This is a software issue. This is a network request. This is a time off request, whatever it is. If you use the proper labeling, that then when your customers are in the help portal looking for articles, that label can surface those articles quicker for them. And again, maybe potentially avoid a help request in the first place because they got the information they needed from there. So labeling can be very helpful in that sense. And we often help our clients when they are using Jira Service Management and Confluence, how to structure that, how to organize those things. So again, pretty straightforward. I think nothing really is difficult here that we've seen. Let's talk about the next couple of options here, and that is linking and attachments. I will say that especially cloud versions of Confluence, I think really handles attachments very, very well. It's just a matter of pasting the link into the page and letting Confluence manage how you're going to use it. You could, of course, use the link tool up here in the formatting toolbar, and then once you link, you have a couple of options. So you can link to another Confluence page on another Confluence space that you have access to. But I also want you to see in cloud the options as to how that actually displays. This is what's called an inline display of the link. But when I click on this, I'm in edit mode still. I want you to see I can use just the URL, which is just the actual link of the page itself. I can do this inline option. This is down here is what's called a card. And then the last option is something called embed. And embed is an exciting option in cloud. Unfortunately, it's not in the data center side, but in cloud, you can actually embed a page directly onto this current page. There's actually a macro called page include. It's no longer necessary in Confluence because you can just use the embed option when you paste the link to a page, which is really useful because this is one of the key governance principles that I'll highlight toward the end, and that is you only want to maintain information in one location. If you can surface it in other places as needed, so be it, but a key governance option is to only have information in one place. That way that you don't have duplication. We'll talk about a few other things there. These are external ones. Again, you have just the URL, you have the card option, which is what the card option is. And then if it is a media file, such as a video from YouTube, or maybe your learning management system has video content. If you're a Microsoft shop, maybe you have a stream server. You could simply, instead of attaching the video to your instance, which could be very space consuming, maybe you put a link to it, and it recognizes when it is a media option and automatically embeds the video or the multimedia options into your page, so that they don't have to leave the Confluence page to view the video. And in that case, you can this is a YouTube video. And then lastly, this is embedding a link to a document, and a very powerful tool in Confluence again. Especially cloud versions. And that is, this document does not live in this space. It is in a shared folder that, in our case, we're a Google Drive shop. And so this is in a Google folder that Kylie and I both share access to. And so we don't have to have the document attached to the Confluence page. Instead, we can just embed a shared file, just like you saw us doing simultaneous editing of the on the page. We could do simultaneous editing of a shared document on the page. A very powerful tool. In Data Center, you can at least put the link to it, so you can grant access to it, and you can have it that way. And then finally, if this is of any interest to you, you can also generate things like mail to links, and this is a simple mail to link that you can create yourself, so that if you need, especially if there's any part of your space that's going to be public and you want them to be able to contact you, this is a way that you can do that as well. So linking is in my opinion, even a superior tool to attachments. However, you can also have attachments. Sometimes you just have to have that one PDF that is a copy of the last monthly report, because your page on your when you have your reports is an active page and it's the latest information. Well, then once you're finished with a meeting, maybe you want to create a PDF of that and attach it here so that people can get quick access to it. Or maybe you do have some org charts or decision trees that you are going to go ahead and place as images or attachments in here. So it certainly can handle attachments. They're just not as necessary if you're going to have the ability to have links, especially in cloud, with the ability to embed a link onto your pages. But you can have attachments. Here are images, and in cloud you have the ability to have what's called page wrap on this. If I go in here and I take a look at this, actually has wrap text to the left on there. You can hyperlink an image to go to, you could actually convert an image to a button then, and it can go to anywhere, any either internal or external. And so here is an attached image. Here is an attached PDF. It's also using what's called a PDF macro that when I am in published mode, which I will be shortly, you can actually scroll through a PDF that's attached. It's not embedded, or it's not a link. It's actually an attached attachment to the space itself. But you can also navigate there. You don't have to display them on the page. You could use what's called an attachments macro, which these attachments are applied to the page, but then you can surface access to those attachments using something called the attachments macro, where people have the ability to view, to download if they need to download, and if you have the ability to also grant them the ability to upload additional ones if you want to do that. And so different ways to surface them. There's other ways to surface images as well. I'll show you another one toward the end of our presentation when I go to our marketing team presentation and show you some things there. So again, you can have lots of tools in here, surfacing information. Where are you going to place the information so you can attach it, or you could simply link to it to that shared location from there. So I'm hoping that this is sparking some interest for you as far as seeing some of the functionalities of that. But now let's talk about what Confluence can also do as far as making your information more visual, drawing information together. And so that's what the macros are. There's this drop-down list called macros that are in here, and I'm going to be dealing with, I'm going to demonstrate a few of them for you so that you can see them. I know I'm moving quickly. This is actually, this is the 1-hour demo webinar version of our, we have a complete 1-day hands-on deep dive boot camp class on Confluence. And a little bit later, when I do them at our shameless self-promotion pitch about XP and Valiantus, I'll show you where you can find that particular link to that event. But let's take a look at what these macros are. So these are called panel macros, and they have the ability. So the built-in ones: success, information, warning, note, error. But the fun part in Confluence Cloud is the ability to create your own or have no emoji at all, and you have a few color options as well. So this could not only be a way to draw the eye to a particular part of the page, you could even use this as background color options. And so if you imagine the idea of the 3-column or the 2 sidebars, you could have a panel macro with just a color on one side, and maybe that means something to you. As far as the blue is the instruction, the red, or maybe the red side is warnings or error messages. You could manage it using those. There's also something called a status macro, which is just essentially, it's a button. You put in the text that's going to display, you choose a color, and it's editable whenever you're in edit mode, and it will display whatever information is in there. We use this as status buttons when we're in our when we're in our report pages, we want to tell them where we are in the process. We can use a status button that's on there. This is a tool called the expand macro. And when I'm in published mode, you'll see you have the ability to have a title, and then you can click to expand it to see what information is available underneath. We use this for several purposes, but it's a great way to manage vertical scrolling space on your page. So maybe these are a series of policies, or for your QA team, you have a series of these are the tasks that QA does, but you can expand each task to see what are the steps for each task to be completed. And you don't have to have it all displayed in one long page. They can expand what they want to see and come back in there. We use this with our clients. We'll put our statement of work in this particular in an expand macro to allow you to do that. What else can you do with this? You can use a table of contents, which will allow you then to display your headings throughout the page. We put this at the top of many pages, especially if they're going to be lengthy, to allow you to do that. There's something called a page tree within this space. What are the other pages available to me in this particular page? And there are several others. The excerpt, the page include. Excerpt is kind of a fun macro. What you could do is on one page, you have a paragraph. Maybe that's the mission statement of your department or the goal of this particular project you happen to be working on. And you put that in a macro called excerpt. And then wherever else you need to surface that bit of information, again, editing in one location, surfacing in many. You can then use what's called the excerpt include macro to display that information in other locations. And then if ever it needs to change, be edited, you only edit it in one location and it does that. So great tools for again, displaying information, for managing that. Probably what you're more interested in though is the reason that you have Confluence is that because you have Jira software or Jira work management. And how does it integrate with Jira? Well, that's where these tools come in as well. You can link to a single issue, and I will tell you this. This is the same. These are two. I believe they're the same issues. So this is the card version or the inline version, but this is the embed option. And this is really exciting and really recent, by the way, only the last couple of months. You can now embed a link to a Jira issue, and it displays like an embedded, like you've seen me with the embedded document. This is now an editable issue from Confluence. That's really exciting, I have to tell you. That's some amazing capabilities that's on there. So this is showing you a single issue. This is a chart macro, and this is you can basically you take a filter from your Jira, an issue search, and you can then from that create a visual chart on that, and whether it's a pie chart like this or a two-dimensional, there are options there. This is an issues list. Again, a search from Jira, and it just shows you the results of doing this. Again, Confluence Cloud, you no longer even have to use the macro. You could have a filter results, copy that URL to the filter results from Jira, paste it straight into your Confluence page, and it organizes it like this. The macro gives you the ability to control what columns you want to display, but other than that, it's not even necessary anymore to use the macro. It's still available though. So with all of this going on, okay, first off, let me publish this page. Which takes a moment because I want to show you, before I leave this particular space, I want to show you the labels and commenting at the bottom of the page. And so there we go. If I drop down to the bottom of the page, so here's all that information we've been looking at. It's still rendering. Here's that page tree. Here are labels at the bottom of the page. Again, you can label as you need to help you locate. And with labels, then you can use what's called the labels macro, and it will let you be able to display all content using that same label, which is really useful to help people navigate to other places. Here is commenting at the bottom of the page, and so if you have just general comments to make, again, you have the ability to put in a new comment. You can reply, so you can actually have threaded messages here in your commenting. And there's the ability to add emoji. Actually, the full tool is you actually have essentially the same toolbar as if you were editing a page, including several macros. So great tools for doing that. This can also be managed by permissions if you don't need to have comments from the rest of your enterprise. We can talk about that when we talk about governance if that's necessary. So I wanted you to see those things, but now I want to jump into kind of a combination of all of these things, these layouts and tables and formatting and macros and Jira integration. When we engage with a client, we will create oftentimes an engagement page for them. And this is kind of combining a lot of things in one particular area. So what this is, I've just jumped to another space in the same instance, and this is from our demo instances. And why would we want to maybe do this? Well, this could be a great place for reporting on your projects. Now, Jira software, Jira work management is going to be your single source of truth of where the work takes place. It's entirely possible, though, that Confluence might be the place where you report on the project. And that's what this particular dashboard is all about. And so oftentimes when we work with a client, we will set up a space like this that has a dashboard page like this. And this is using several of those macros. This is using basically, this is a 2-column layout. Here is the calendar macro. And calendars can be added to or linked to from external sources. If you already have a calendar set up that you want to place in here, we will often create a calendar for us and the client so that we want to see things like company events, team members time away. We can also do things like if there's going to be if you're using sprints or releases in your Jira projects, you can link to those here and they'll display as well. So it's a great way to just keep up with the team's availability. Here is that's just simply the info panel macro. Here is the attachments macro, and then move into a table. The beauty of this is that you can not only surface information from Jira, but now with your layouts and your tables, you now have the ability to give this context. You have the ability to talk about the information that your CEOs or your stakeholders are seeing, so that when they look at this, what should they be viewing? What should they be, when they see this information, what should they be thinking about? What should they be specifically looking for? And so Confluence, with all of its editing tools, allows you to do that, to first make it look visually interesting, two, control the messaging, because you can say, yes, here's this data, here's why this particular incident didn't happen on time, or here's why we're so far ahead. You can show those things. It's easy to update, and then you just simply take a snapshot of this at the end of your update here. This is an advanced roadmap from Jira Software premium levels, so you can actually link to a. It's non-editable at this stage, but it is active. And so if I were to click on any one of those links to an issue, it would take me to that project in Jira and show me that particular issue. But a great visualization tool for as your stakeholders or your PMO is gathering to look at how the projects are going. You can do your timelines, etc. And then these are simply issue filters from Jira, but you can add context up here. You could even split this into either a two-column table where on the left-hand side is explaining what's going on, highlights from that one, and then have this displayed on the right-hand side. And then these are all, again, active. So what's been done, what's in progress, what have we yet to work on still. So you can just kind of see what's in there. Here's another info panel, another table, using the exact same macro of what was labeled with this is using a particular label, but whatever the filter results are, and then so you actually see the issues, and then on the right hand side is is a graphic, in this case a pie chart of the exact same filter results. So you can help people who are looking at information, how they can understand information gives them more than one way to view it. So they can say, so depending upon the learning styles of your people, or just simply how they consume information, how they get it quicker. So some are going to get it from looking at the list, others that visual is helpful as you're doing so. Again, so different use of the exact same filter here, a display in there, and it will be active. It's dynamic, connected to the Jira projects, and so when the items change in Jira, this will update every time you refresh the page. Here's that expand macro, and again, remember this is what we put our statement of work that's on there. So lots of things that are available here as far as this is a standard engagement dashboard. Taking a look at my notes here real quick just to make sure I haven't missed anything. So this is sort of putting things all together so that you can see the various uses of this, and hopefully you're getting some ideas about how you might be using this in your instance. But just to give you another example, I want to switch to another type of space, because maybe your group isn't IT and you're not doing IT software development projects, but maybe you're a marketing group and you want to see another potential example for how that's going to use this. So I'm just going to go to another space. I'm going to drop down my spaces and go to the marketing space. And show you another example. If I look at this, so there's the overview page. If I go to, in this case, the team home page, this is also showing you a brief introduction to templates, because this is not, we didn't actually create this page. We used what's called a meet the team template. Templates are found from the top list here, and in cloud right now there's 131 templates that you can use, which means that people, organizations that work with Atlassian have created these different templates for things like meeting notes, decision trees, one-on-ones, all kinds of things, summary reports, project updates. You can view a lot of them and try them out. You can even customize them if you want to. So you don't have to always just use blank pages for that. And so this is a built-in template, and then we just simply filled in the information here. Here is other macros. This is what's called the user logo, which not only does that, but also connects you to the person from there. Confluence tries to add a lot of social aspects to this, and so the use of emoji, the concept of teams for communications, they really the idea, commenting gives you the chance to interact and collaborate, and so there's a lot of that social options going on. Sorry, I'm briefly distracted, ADD. So this is how the marketing team has used that page. And so then they have some similar things from here as far as they're using the macro, and then links to important resources. And none of this information is actually in the space itself. It's linked to a shared location. If I expand the pages and take a look at what else is going on, I've been looking at um, having this collapse, but this is where you have then a project dashboard. And the example here is that this is a group of teams. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is the marketing department, but 5 different project teams that are working together. And this is their overall reporting page for how things are going. Again, you see some similar things from our engagement here is that advanced roadmap showing you the scale of all of the projects in one place. But you can also break this into child pages. And so each group themselves can also have their own project page without having to have their own space. And so this is just another way to use this. You certainly could divide each team into their own space, but this could be simply the location for each project on their pages itself. We're using the meeting notes macro, which not only has the meeting notes themselves, it also creates what's called a meeting notes index, which then collects the comments, any decisions, incomplete tasks, a listing of all your meeting note pages that are in there. So this is a great use of a template that we often suggest from in there. And then what else is available in this? How else could you use this? And as you're looking at this page tree, you're seeing how it might be structured. And there's a variety of ways to structure this. Well, what this team has also done then is they've gone in and they have embedded a Miro board so that it can be viewed here. Whether or not the people have edit rights or not, they can at least view it on the Miro board. I will also tell you at the annual conference in April that Atlassian held, they announced that they're actually adding to Confluence Cloud a whiteboard element so that you could even do whiteboarding in your space itself. But this is to a Miro board that we use Miro quite a bit when we are designing phases. As we're engaging with the client, we talk about what do you want to get done, what's that process flow. We'll put that together in a Miro board first before we start building. And then what else is available? Well, this is a link to a Trello board. So you can also embed a Trello task board onto your page. And again, for everyone that has rights to view it, you can see the Trello board. Trello, if you're not familiar with it, is a basic. Oh, they closed it on me. That's funny. But this is where you can do basic task management. Lots of people use this for their own personal use. It's a simple board of tasks that you can move across the columns. You can create new columns. You can do updates and communications. It's a great little tool. But sorry about that. That's not being displayed there. And then, of course, using the ways to display your content by embedding articles, embedding your policies. So as what we're going to display is, here's a document on the left that as soon as it finishes rendering, that I have read access to, I can't make any changes to, or if I do have edit rights on them, I can change there. So great tools from there. Here's the one that I do have access to and can make changes to while I'm live on the fly. So just some different ways to organize the information, a couple different views of from how we do it at XPM from a project standpoint, IT project installations, etc. A second one here from a marketing group and how they might want to structure their options. So you're just kind of seeing hopefully some flexibility on there. I do want to talk about governance, but first, we've been I've been hinting at doing the shameless self-promotion about our company. Here we go. What do we do at XPM? XPM is, again, a Valiantis company, and we are a platinum solution partner with Atlassian. Atlassian sells products. They partner with their solution partners to do the licensing, the installations, the setup, and that's really what we do. We do a lot of services where we are able to help you get access to the licensing of your. We can help you manage your licenses to your Atlassian tools, and then we can also do with installation, setup, migration, governance, and we do. We also then have several full stack code developers, so that if we need a solution for you to get from one app to your Atlassian product, we can oftentimes do that. We have a few of our products actually on the Atlassian marketplace right now that are being used, and we actually have some award-winning products that we've created in the last couple of years, making XPM last year Partner of the Year for its innovation. Valiantis was now the Cloud Partner of the Year, which is a great achievement as well. So for 2023, so we're really excited about what we can do. We can provide training, which is what you're seeing here. We do every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central is a 1 hour topic just like this one, on several others. We've also added a couple of other additional titles to our webinars, and they're offering them at different times. I want to go to our events calendar real quick, because this may be how you found this particular webinar, or whoever signed you up for it did. But this is where we host our events and training events. We offer a lot of things. Kylie has placed in the chat this particular link to get to this, but we have a lot of titles that you might want to view. If you ever just see sign up, those are free. Here is that Confluence bootcamp I mentioned earlier. We have a 3-day, pretty intensive Jira bootcamp that we do. We offer this as a public course, or we can do this with your company as a private request. That we can also do that. It's a 3-day, pretty intense dive into Jira, followed by an optional 4th day, or we have some people that just come in and do the 1-day Confluence deep dive, all the stuff that I'm showing you. We get it in a hands-on options. We talk about we can talk about portfolio management. We can talk about Jira Service Management. This is a great 2-day deep dive into Jira Service Management to help you create your asset management, your help portal, all those kinds of things. Great event from there as well. And so if your organization is looking at anything ITSM, we encourage you to check out some of these things. We also just simply have some basic webinars on those particular topics. And so if your stakeholders need to get access to the information about the products, we offer them several times that are on there. This is a great introduction to Jira Align if those of you are looking at the scaled agile in your organization. Here's this webinar that we're doing right now. So again, I encourage you to look through some of these titles. And then we have a very gifted colleague at XPM that leads webinars and events around not necessarily IT, but team building, team structure, building trust. And he has develop some great, and I encourage you to look at these webinars before, and then maybe even consider one of his events. Without being too cavalier, he is a professional dungeon master. He does role-playing game leads, and through this he does events like this, and then he talks about the concepts around this. And so it's not just IT, but learning to work as a group in your organization. Really excited about this new avenue that we're offering that's on there. And then here's a new podcast that we've begun talking about items there. You can watch them live, or you can go to the recordings. And let me flip over to our YouTube channel, and Kylie will add a link to that also in the chat. That we create a lot of video content. This event here, it's in the near future, is going to be added to this location where the videos are located. Any of our other previous ones you want to do. Um, we get excited when we see a new feature, and we say, boy, that's cool. I've not played with that yet. Or, boy, that could really be useful to some of my clients. We'll have somebody go in and create a video on it. Sometimes it's as little as 10 minutes or less, working on just a brief function. Kylie's done several of these. Here's our podcast. Here are videos of a couple of events that we've recently done. We try to present Atlassian information and tools in a variety of ways. Many of these events are free, and so that's what you might find on the event calendar. But again, our video series are all in here. I encourage you to take a look, see what interests you, see what maybe your colleagues could use and share. We get a lot of traffic just because of our video content, and we're very proud of that. There's one other link I want to share before I go back and talk about governance, and that is um, this link to what's new in Confluence Cloud. I got to be honest with you, Atlassian is developing rapidly in the cloud. They will continue to support data center, but true server licenses have been, they no longer sell them, and they will be deprecated next year. And just be honest with you, all of Atlassian's main effort is going into cloud. So they're trying to engage the global Atlassian users to move toward cloud. And so there's several exciting things going on. And if you want to know what's going on in Confluence Cloud, there's some good things here. I mentioned that whiteboard app that's going to be available to you. There's a few other things that have been going on with cloud over the last year or so. There's a new view called Reporting View. And just several things. It's hard to keep up. I'll be honest with you, there are times when I'm training this and we'll discover something new. So it happens all the time. So again, that's about our company, what we can offer you, some resources that you can access in the future. Let me wrap up by talking about governance before we then take the last few minutes for Q&A. Governance is another 1-hour webinar, so we're not going to go into much detail, but there are a couple of things that we want to consider, because you're seeing just how extensible this particular tool is. And because of that, you're going to want to apply well before you use it some basic ideas about how you're going to use it. And in all honesty, that's not a tools discussion. It's a whiteboard discussion of ideas. When we talk about the iron triangle of people, processes, and tools, you never start with the tool. You always start with, who do we have? Who are our people? What do we want to get done, and how do we want to use it? Now that we've chosen those two things, now let's see what tool to utilize and how to utilize the tool. Well, that's what governance is all about. And we recommend, when we talk about governance, this is usually a discovery question that we do. And that is, there are two primary topics that you need to have about this. Standardization, things like naming conventions to help people find stuff and to avoid the use the duplication of information across your instance. Recommended pages, structure, those kinds of things. And then permissioning. Who is going to get to manage those spaces? And out of the box, it's pretty wide open. And if you don't have some sort of governance concepts and processes in place, you're simply going to take your current dysfunction and with Confluence expand and just and blow it up further. So the tool itself cannot structure you. You're going to have to do that, and that's going to simply take some thought. And so, having said that, we often help a lot of our clients in thinking about how they're going to use the tools, which does include Confluence governance as well. I think I've covered a lot of information. I hope this has been interesting to you. So let me take the last few minutes and see if there are any questions in the Q&A that maybe I can help resolve for you. Let me take a look. Oh, one of the questions was about the excerpt macro. Yeah, let me see if I can answer that again. So excerpt would be the ability to, you have on one page a paragraph, and the macro is called excerpt, and so inside of that macro you put the paragraph. This is the policy, this is the mission statement, whatever it happens to be. Then on another page, and anywhere else in your instance that you have access to, you could do what's called an excerpt include. So that mission statement is maintained on this one page. Using the excerpt include, you could display it in other pages. And you can even have multiple excerpts from a page in cloud. In data center, it's limited to one excerpt per page, but in cloud, because you have the ability to name the excerpts, so maybe you have multiple policies or multiple items to be aware of, and you put them in individual excerpt macros on one page. You then surface those in a variety of places on other pages using the excerpt include. So hopefully that answers your question. Can you add lucid charts here? Yes, there is a macro available that you can use with lucid charts. There is a plugin that you can do. We're starting to see a lot more integration with lucid charts, and that's the other thing. There are lots and lots of plugins available to you on the marketplace to connect to things like Microsoft Teams, Office, Slack, Yammer, Power BI, lots of tools. Basically, if the tool has an XML export kind of idea, you can link to it in Confluence to display that information. Now, not all of those are free options, but some of them are relatively inexpensive at the enterprise level, and definitely worth considering if it helps you with your your uses. Question about creating and maintaining a calendar in Confluence. The calendar is actually, I don't want to do it in this particular instance. Let me go to a, real quick, I'll just show you. This is our last boot camp, and I'm flipping over into Confluence. One of the things about our demo space, I'm going to have to undo everything that I've done here because people that maintain the demo space don't like it when I mess up their work. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Again, if I go to the let's see if I can get there quicker. Boy, sorry about the slight drag. So first off, you do have to have the premium licenses if you're going to use the calendar feature in Confluence. And it's under apps, where you have the ability to access calendars and analytics. But here is the calendar here. And then you simply would add a new calendar, and you would give it a name. Or if you add an existing calendar, if it's a link to other calendars, it says you can browse the calendars, or you can get a link to it and place it in there. And then the end result is going to be something like, so the calendar is part of the space itself. And then on the page, you're going to use what's called the calendar macro. And as soon as it's going to let me, I'm going to edit this page. Oh, actually, I haven't done that. Let me go to the go back to the demo, and I won't touch it. But what you're going to see in just a second is a macro that then says, okay, what is the name of the calendar? So where is this? Let me go into edit mode here. And I know we're at the end of our time, so real quick we'll do this, and then I'll have a couple of final words. This can be managed by as well, that other governance one about permissioning. Who can view the page? Who can edit the page? Those are really important things to keep in mind as you're doing so. But this is just simply a macro called calendar. And then when you manage the macro itself, you have in cloud the ability to manage all the options on the right-hand side, what you want to include, how it's added. We actually do this as part of our boot camp itself. And by the way, anytime you're looking for answers on these things, we do a lot of Google searching. I would type Confluence calendar, and 99% of the time you're going to get an Atlassian article on the particular topic that you're looking for. So so that's where now it's also entirely possible that again, just a reminder, you do have to be in the premium level licensing for Confluence to have calendars. Same is true for analytics. Hey, I hope this has been a helpful time for you. Um, you're going to receive a communication from our project coordinator office, just thanking you for coming, a link to this video when it's done, also how you can maybe contact us should you have further questions. We hope to see you at future webinars. It's been my privilege to spend this time with you. Thank you, Kylie, for your help as well. And when you see how to reach out to us, if we can be of help to you, if we can provide value to your organization, we would love to at least have that conversation. No obligations at all, just to see if we can be of any value to you, because that's why we're here. That's what we'd like. We love to do it. We love to help our clients. We love to see them succeed. And that's what we do for them. We try to build value. So again, my name is Tony Hartsfield. I am a consultant with XPM Valientus. I am an Atlassian certified professional along with Kylie. You have attended this introduction to Confluence. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again in the future.